Hello? Is anybody out there? What's going on, everybody? We are here in my magnificent library. Yep. Hopefully, the crack in the new Oculus is not too big of a deal. I think it'll hold all right. Happy Easter to you as well, Craig. I hope you're doing well. I mean, it's not even Saturday here in the States yet, but it is almost Sunday, I guess, in Australia, and points far, far, far to the what would that be? Well, I mean, it's so far east, it's west, so I don't know what you call that, but that away. So, how are we doing? Keith, good to see you. Asia, good to see you. Rita, so good to see you. Uyo, good to see you. And of course, Craig, I see y'all. K-Day, good to see you. It's been a little bit, I feel like, since I've seen some certain names. You know, I think when I stream a little later, I tend to see them. Maybe I miss some of you guys because of like work and stuff like that. I'm using the green screen today, but apparently, like, you know, I'm a real noob. I'm a real idiot when it comes to this stuff. And check this out. I'm just so dumb. I managed to buy the green screen, but then I wore a a tie-dyed shirt, and it's of course going to look like the background somewhere. Some piece of this had the same color green on it. So yeah. Also, surprisingly, the green screen here is 7 feet tall, and it like it's not straight at all. So that's, I mean, I thought that the wrinkles may really mess with stuff, but that seems to be somewhat okay in tracking me. It seems to be able to get even like little pieces of my hair and stuff pretty good in real time. But I'm just learning my limitations, guys. I'm learning them, and I'm trying to figure out what the best way to run all of this live in the future is going to be, because my goal, let me grab my goal. I have some things to show you, and hopefully you guys will think they're cool. Hopefully you guys will be excited like I am. Ba kitty, meow 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 meow. That's my kitty. She's a meow 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 meow. She's a meower. That's my kitty. Here's a meow. Here's a meow 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 meow. That's the kitty. She's a meow meow. So the cat is right off stage, right, and she just, I don't know, sitting around. She's been a little butt all day. I have video of her actually trying to manipulate the doorknob, which is wild. I mean, I have video of her twisting the doorknob handle, jumping up and like twisting it a half rotation and then falling down over and over and over. So yeah. Anyways, if you hear her making crazy noises, those aren't me making those crazy noises. Oh boy, Radina, how's it going? You say you are working, wait, sitting in a hospital. Not sure how long I can stay, but I will click and like and watch later. Oh, I don't know why you're in a hospital, but I'm sorry. That's probably not a fun occasion. Probably not a positive thing, I don't think. Well, I hope things get better if they're not great. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. CJ, what's up? Welcome. Robert, good to see you. Sketty, good to see you. Andrew, also good to see you as well. And Val Mota, what's up? How's it going? Val Mota. Is that your full name? It's an interesting name. or is it a reference to something? I don't even know how you would spell that, but thanks, Keith. I'm glad you like the background also. New gear from Adam. Super cool of him. Yeah, so the new gear so far, I was going to show you guys, actually. I haven't fired it up yet. I've been trying to figure out what software I'm going to use. Now, I have used all the Adobe software stuff a lot in the past. And I used, now this is going to date me, but I used Final Cut Pro and Premiere are the only two that I've used really, other than like the Apple iMovie and stuff like that. So I've only used those, and I hear DaVinci Resolve is supposed to be really good, and that's what Adam was saying that he thought I should maybe check out. So this is the laptop he sent me, which is super cool. I still got his stickers on it, which is fun. And it's got a, like, as you can see, it's got like a little line on it, and then part of the keypad is kind of broken to the point where you can actually see the underworking circuitry right here. But everything seems to work well, minus a key and minus the pressure sensitive spot on the screen up here. So all the internals seem to be in good working order. And I think it's a 2019 or a 2020 MacBook Pro. So again, Adam, thank you so much. This is really helpful. I have a MSI computer that is the one that I've been working on with that's right here, like that I'm using here, and it's all right, but it's been hitting a limiting way, hitting a limit, I should say. And then the other thing that I got some other stuff to show you guys, because I've been you guys, actually I made decent money the last month. I made, I had been making around 2,000, and I'm getting my tax returns, and thanks to, saving receipts and all that stuff. And like literally I get to write off like 20 to 30%, depending on what it is, of like books and things if I use them for the production of a video, if I have them cited and things like that. I've been told that that's a completely valid use of funding and so forth, or of my tax write-offs and things. So that also opened up a little bit more budget. So I want to show you a couple little pieces of kit that I got, so that hopefully the videos will get a little better. Obviously my wife got me the green screen for my birthday at the end of January. So there's that. There's the MacBook, which Adam got me. And then Adam also sent me this, which is out of this world. And I already got a camera strap for it, but it is the Canon 5 EOS, and it is equipped with a 35 millimeter ultra wide lens camera lens. No filter on it or anything right now. But this is a camera on another level for filming both footage and it, like for the actual show, for the channel, and for, I guess, stills on fish, right? Because if I get like an underwater enclosure for this and all that kind of stuff, I mean, this camera is a very, very capable camera. So that was incredibly kind. And I honestly don't think I've ever had, I mean, the MacBook new, like 3,200 or something with the way it's all decked out. And then this new is like, this is like $4,500 worth of gear with the lens. Just the camera, the body frame, and the lens. And then I also have some existing lenses from a Rebel Canon T3i and from like old film cameras, but too old. So I don't know when I'll be able to afford another lens for it, but this should work pretty well for aquarium stuff for now. And I am going to baby this. This is his old camera that he used to film videos on his channel with, I believe, and take still shots with. And he asked how he could help me out, and he was extremely generous and offered like to help me with medical bills in a way and all that kind of stuff. And I said, I just felt weird. Like, you work your whole life as a person, and you always have insurance, and you do the quote unquote right things, and it just feels weird to have to like then take someone else up on their kindness to help you out. So when I felt weird about like, can I send you money? I said no. But when he said, can I send you my old gear that I've upgraded, I said yes. Like that clicked in my head as something that I felt like this will actually help the channel. If he likes the channel, then I can give back to him and to you guys. So I'm really excited that I've got this bit of stuff. Now, another cool thing that I've got that I wanted to show you, and I'm hoping as I heal up. So this I've already used on four trips. I used this in Mexico. I used this in Chicago and Illinois and the Missouri River. And then I also, and the Great Lakes, and I used this same GoPro. I think this is a GoPro Action 3 is what it's, or no, it's a DJI Action 3. The GoPro, I also have a GoPro. So now we've got the GoPro, and this is on a long, this thing goes up 8 feet. So I could really put it down underwater well. And when I went to Florida the last 2 times, I have footage on here that I haven't worked with yet. That's over a year old that I need to get off of here. And I needed a computer that could edit HD photo and raw photo and stuff like that. And so now we finally have that. And now we can start using this again. Maybe in the Northwest, we'll even get more underwater shots and more. Also, my hope is in the tank shots. Like if we could put this in the aquarium and just let it sit there for an hour when some fish are spawning or when eggs are hatching or whatnot, something like that. But then I also have this, which is an old GoPro. It's about, I think, 10 years old now, but it is set up for first person POV. It's only 1080p. It doesn't go up to 4K or anything, but I think that's fine. You'd get the idea if I'm out and up to it for a trip to Peru or to South America, that these 2 things were important. And having a camera that was not just a phone, that was also like a must have as well for that. So I'm excited about all that. And then also filming lately, I've got this cool work light that you can fold up like this thing. You can fold it up and you can fold it all sorts of different which ways. It has 3 different light panels, LEDs. You can turn up the brightness. You can do it cool, warm, hot, whatever you want. And this thing was pretty inexpensive. It's like $100. And it comes with a tripod that can lift like 8 feet in the air. Plus, one charge has lasted me, I don't know, 12 hours. I've filmed about 9 videos with it. So that was a really good investment, and I'm happy that I got that. Really stoked that I got that. And so, yeah, I just wanted to show you guys some of that stuff that I have now, along with obviously my big investment that I always have with me, the newest Samsung camera. And obviously we got the Yeti mic. I also have another mic. I also have some portable mics. And then we have some lav mics and a shotgun mic. So we got options, folks. And I really want to do, as I've thought about it. Oh, also, I should say, Adam was kind enough to also send me an adult level ring light, like not just a little cheap ring light that you would get on, I don't know, whatever, Temu, but this is an actual, goes on the camera for macro photography of fish, a diffused or spotlight ring light. And then he also sent with me the extra battery, which is really nice, and earphones for editing. So I mean, man, I can't. Adam Regoia, if you don't know of his channel, just go check it out. He does a lot of cooking stuff, but he also has been getting into fish keeping, and I've been chatting with him for over a year now, kind of becoming friends. And when he has questions, you know, I try to help him if I can, show him where he can do the research. He's the kind of guy who wants to do the research himself. He doesn't want to be told just like do this, then that, then this, and that's that. You're done. No, he wants to know why is this way, so that he can do, you know, this or that. And then he makes his own like edits. He makes his own music. He makes his own like photography, recipes, cooking. He's just a really cool, talented guy. He does a lot of projects and stuff. So I've always looked up to him. As long as he's really been on YouTube, I found him early on in the scheme of his channel, but he's been at it for a long time and doing it so well that now he's considered retired. Like, he has made the money he needed to make, and he's stepping back from doing it every single week. Holy cow, we got a super chat. Don't want to miss that. Matthew Plowden, what's up? I bought 2 variatus platies, told Petco male and female, told Petco male and a female. I ended up with 2 males. I had them a month in a 20 long. No aggression as of yet. You think that they potentially may? No, usually when you have 2 males and no female present, they'll be fine. They'll probably just hang out. They might show off to each other and dance just a little bit. But they don't, especially platies, are a pretty chill fish, really. I mean, some people will say watch out for aggression, but what they mean is like the males will pester the females very heavily. And at times they can eat their babies, or really peaceful fish and shrimp. They might go down and like nip on them just to kind of get them to move, or out of curiosity. That's really what they mean. It's not in the scheme of like an Oscar or an angelfish when you talk about aggression, where they'll go down and just kill something. So I wouldn't worry about that. You can probably add more males if you like the look of the males. If you do add females, that's when it gets a little trickier, and you just may get a female that gets literally chased down her entire day, all day long, by the 2 males. And so, one, you can have lots of like floating plants and mid-water to high water, things like water lettuce with roots for her to go hide in if you do add a female. But I would not add any more males if you're going to add females. You know, I'd get 2 to 1 female to male ratio. So I'd assume, see, you get 4 more females or all males, but I wouldn't get a male and another 2 female, you know, or 2 females. Like, that wouldn't work out as well. So just know that the males are really aggressive with the females wanting to mate, and the females will get tired down to the point where like they just can get really stressed and actually get sick. So yeah. Johnny Best, what's up? Hey Mon. Jay Oliver, what's up? Good to see you. I need to come and explore some guppies on your site, my friend. I haven't checked out your guppies for a while. John. Dr. Pepper. I waited all day for that. That's worth it. That's worth it. Now, my wife is at a fish concert, and not the kind that I'd go to, with actual aquatic vertebrates. Vertebrates. I don't know why I said invertebrates. Well, I mean, yeah, sure. If there's shrimp and snails playing too, then I'll go too. But yeah, I mean, she's at the Fish concert, and literally my wife's from Ohio. She lived in Florida for a couple years, and she has friends from both Ohio, Florida, and when she lived in New Jersey, New York area, Fish from there, fish heads from there. So literally, I think there's a dozen people that are in town tonight that she happens to know that came to see the concert for 2 nights in a row, that are staying in a hotel right down by the city center of Seattle. It's like 50,000 people partying and, you know, getting ready to whatever, fish it up. And I am home. I can't be at a concert standing and like walking around a stadium, nor can I be exposed anymore with since the lightning and the head trauma. The flashing lights of concerts have twice now triggered seizures, what's called a petit mal seizure, which is like not the like drop on the floor and flop like a fish, but the one where you literally just kind of like zone out and you just kind of drool and look dumb struck, you know. So not good stuff, but I've just had to avoid that, which is kind of a bummer. You know, I can't go a lot of places that I used to go, but I hope she's having a blast. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. Also, I was gonna say I have a pretty cool shot that I'll share these also elsewhere. But I got some gobies that you guys may or may not. Oh wow, that's not gonna work because the green screen. That is annoying as all get out. Is that not gonna work either? Really? That is. And wow. Okay. I guess most of my pictures are gonna have green in them if they're of fish, right? Of my aquariums. So I guess none of the pictures am I gonna show on here right at this moment. But I will show them soon because I've got some rhinogobius from China, white cheek rhinogobius, the scarlet rhinogobius, and the red, white, and blue stars and stripes they call them, doing all their colorful sparring where they like puff up their throat and then they go kind of like seals underwater. Very, very interesting. Frank B, hello, finally made it live. My notification for the last month or so has been coming after watch the video and delete. Oh, man. Well, I'm glad you're here, Frank. I'm glad you are. Yeah, the video, you know, it does upload with captions and subtitles after about 24 hours, and sometimes some people don't see it until that's fully rendered. Other people see it like right away. They can watch the replay. I don't know the difference if it's a country thing or what, but maybe someone in chat does. If you guys have any questions, just do the @fishtory and I will see it. It'll get highlighted for me, which is great, like Darbwire just did. Do you know if white worms actually consume a dirt medium that they are in? I wanted to switch to coconut coir for less of a mess and compaction. Well, let me put it this way. I've seen them put into Tupperware with oatmeal alone or with saltine crackers that are a little moist, and that's it. I've seen them in containers like that, and that work. So I would assume coconut husk should be fine. I know that they will eat coconut and coconut husk. It might be something interesting to try out, to leave a little bit of meat on the coconut if you get a chance, if you have real coconuts at your grocery store. Hey, we got a Father Fish in here. What's going on, Father Fish? I got a comment from Father Fish recently, and maybe you're watching right now, Lou. I hope it's you, Lou. Lou. My tongue. I'm tongue tied. But there's a video from several months ago, and I think you might have thought that I was trying to call you out or something in a way, but I was putting on the screen something that someone else had shown of some made up drama. I don't know what it was. That was about Wallstead. Someone was saying you were taking Wallstead's idea, and I said, no, he had a deep substrate style, and I used to do like days, like for over 50 episodes. He and I would get together, like before lockdown, before COVID, before all that stuff. We used to talk, and he had a way of keeping tanks with sand and deep substrate. And somebody was trying to say that you did not do that and that you just got the idea from Wallstead. And I said, no, and actually it's his followers that have gotten a little more like prescribed about it, because he used to be more wishy-washy about like, well, you can do this or you can do that. The way I do it is this way. But then when you get 200,000 people, you know, you either tell them to do one thing and then you can't be told like, oh, you messed up doing this or that. Or the followers start saying, do this, and it's not the same thing as you originally said, do this or this. And then someone repeats, only do this. So that's what I was talking about, is how that happens. And in the nature aquarium space, we don't have enough room to argue over that stuff, in my opinion, to be a fundamentalist about it. And I know some people accuse Father Fish of that, and I have to say he is quite a charismatic and fiery orator, but I think the people following any channel that are the most involved, that are the most engaged, sometimes I think they take the ball and run with it in a way that like it everybody's meaning the best, but yet heads are gonna collide at some point, especially between people who are doing similar things or any sort of power. But Father Fish was one of the people early on, only person I know, who gave a wrench to literally every person in his chat. So yeah, interesting way of handling it. Very pure democracy, almost dare I say anarchical, giving everyone an equal vote. Let's see here. Blue Mint, hello. Let's see here. Ollie the puffer fish, hello. Duhalt, so glad you do your thing. Frank B, reticulated hillstream loaches have started breeding. Oh, sweet. Suggestions, and will they eat microworms? So they will eat the white worms, microworms. That's cool. But what they're going to eat early on is biofilm. So make sure that you have slimy rocks with aufhooks or some sort of layer there. If you've got intense lighting and some sort of flow, that helps too, because for some reason flow over like smooth river rocks. And then if you got a little bit of botanical mix, you got some plants, you got some fish waste and organic waste, and then you've got the diversity of your microflora, fauna, and the things you put in there, like other fish, other plants, there becomes an ecosystem that grows over time. So it might be better to put them in an even older tank if they're not in an older tank. That being said, they have been raised in completely sterile tanks and fed just like spirulina that's been like kind of minced in the water in China. I know that they're doing that. And then later on, they will eat the spirulina wafers pretty readily, as well as things like the smallest size of what they call golden pearl food. And so those are all things you can do. Yeah, I think the most people I know haven't gotten huge yields out of breeding them, but maybe 20 or 30 max is what you could expect if they do successfully breed. And they're very small at first, but then they're very cute. They look like little, tadpoles with stripes on them if they're not at that stage yet. But yeah, they're a pretty good one, and a pretty actually easy. I mean, and that's relative, because hillstream species as a whole, any egg layer and any hillstream species, it's a little tricky. Now, the first people didn't seem to report them breeding for quite some time. You know, the Germans reported it off and on, I believe, in the late 90s, but they'd been in the hobby for like 20 years before that. People knew of them. And there are a lot of different species. So they're breeding like the fungi, all the Borneo loaches, which are not the same as the reticulated hillstream loaches from the mainland, but all those Borneo loaches and stuff are really getting popular. Keith gave us a membership. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Giving out a membership to someone in the house. Really do appreciate that. If you're a new member, come on in. It's $1.99. To give a membership, you actually have to buy the more expensive one because YouTube wants its money. But I have memberships as low as $1.99. Don't buy them through the Apple Store. They'll charge you another $1. And that goes for Discord too. There's $2.99 Discord links, but they're going to charge you another $1.30 or whatever if you go through the Apple Store. But anyways, if you want to join us there and add to the documents and the research and the open learning that we do, feel free. You don't have to pay to come see the documents. Whenever I do research for a video or an episode, I put that up and I put it free in documents. But if there's anything that's paid that I've had to get permission for, or I haven't gotten the permission for the publisher, but I've got the permission from the creator of the scientific work, that's when I have to privately host it, and it needs to be kind of more for just the members, just in a way that way web crawling bots don't get in and say like, hey, publishing, there's a copyright claim here, because that's all music companies and as well as academic scholarly journals. That's like all they do is they copyright troll to try to make money. And I don't mean like troll like the trolling online. I mean like trolling like in a fishing boat more so. Like they trawl, they throw the line out and as wide as they can and just bring everything in. Does YouTube not let me buy membership while you're live? It should. It says become a member. It should say, do you have yeah, great question, Aaron. Thank you for asking. Do we have a preference what you buy? So honestly, Patreon is another method. I get more money from Patreon. To be quite frank, Patreon, I haven't done much on there. I used to share all my sources and upload a bunch of stuff on there, and almost no one ever looked at it. And then I thought, okay, well, I'm going to do that in YouTube. And so I created Google Docs articles and as well as Dropbox.com stuff. And out of literally, I think 40 or 50 videos in 2 years, there were about 7 people that opened any of the documents. Now, they may have downloaded them, seen what they were, downloaded them themselves, but they can do that on any of my videos where I say, hey, there was a study done by such and such where they said this, like you just heard where it's from. You can do it. So anyways, that was taking me hours and hours of time, and now I've stopped doing that. But I still do dump all my infographics that I create, all my charts and stuff. I put that onto Discord now. That is the new like saving spot for all the Dropbox linked files and things. They're not incredibly organized necessarily, but that should be, I believe, $2.99 is the starting price for that one. And then if you don't have Apple, if you buy it through the Apple Store, they're going to charge you 33% more. Now, if you want to be a patron member, it's really just kind of a thank you. I want to help you keep the lights on, and also I'll answer questions. I get questions through there, usually much quicker than through other channels. But I still try to go through the comments as best as possible for at least 4 hours of my day every day, whether you're a member or not. So, I mean, when it comes down to the knowledge, the education, and the assistance questions and helping folks, I try to at least spend 4 hours of every day of the week doing that. Like, unless I'm really ill or something, like even if I'm not streaming or making any content, I make sure that I'm doing that. And if you go back through older videos, you will see that you know, there's always me in the comments messing around and talking to folks. Maybe it's been a little while since anybody's commented, but if you go back, very active, especially when newer videos go up. But if yes, and Blue Man, I also think I want to talk about the taboo question tonight for sure, and that's going to be like the next part of the stream. I just had to thank Adam for the camera gear. I mean, I've never been given a gift. My dad bought me a truck when my wife and I got married, and it's a 2002 Ford Ranger that was from a police auction, and I mean that was like, I don't know, $4,000, and that, I mean, I was so just like, I didn't even know what to do with myself. Like, I don't know what to do when people are that kind. I really don't. And generous, especially people that don't necessarily like have, you know, that's a lot to them too. It's not just like, you just, that's nothing to me. Don't worry about it. And so I feel the same way about the computer and the camera here. Like I really like broke down and cried because I didn't know how to process that. I mean, so just thank you. My wife and I were really moved by that. But I feel that same way about everybody's dollar contribution. I just hope that if you know, more people in this channel, in this community, if you like the content, ask questions, ask me to do an episode. It is always my users, whether it's Patreon, whether it's the YouTube membership, whether it's in Discord. Why do I always forget Discord? Or whether it's a Facebook group, whether you don't pay anything. I always try, if you're here and you're active, you will get an answer. If you know, some people might have to come back twice if I miss a question at a certain point of a live or whatever. But if you're curious, the best way to donate to the channel, to the cause, to buying gear, to going on trips, doing things like this, the answer is PayPal is always best because I get all of that other than taxes and like a few percents. And Venmo, PayPal, Venmo, those are linked in the description. Then if you want to do something long term, or if you want to do a donation of once through an organization, Patreon is another way to do it, but you're not necessarily going to get like it's not a tit for tat, like here's a bunch of rewards. I just don't have that much to offer because I already try to give you guys my time, my question answering and stuff for free. Now I get a lot of emails lately because people see when I put my email out there. And I'm also torn sometimes when I don't know if it's a member or something, because I'm trying to prioritize anybody who's a member. And if I have hours and hours, like 5 or 6 hours worth backed up of DMs through social media and through the comments of YouTube and through email and through Patreon, Discord, and here, then, you know, I have to go with the platforms. And so you're better off for question answering, for knowing about updates. Really, the cheapest level on YouTube will get you the best alerts and updates and stuff on everything. I get about 79 cents of your $1.99 or something like that when all's said and done. So is it some incredible windfall for me? No, but it is like 30% of my channel's income is the incredible kindness and generosity of members like you guys. So I do appreciate it. All right, I'm going to stop bantering on about all of this membership mumbo jumbo and all that, because the bottom line is you guys being here, being active, sharing the content, liking the content, you know, that is what is more valuable than even money when everyone's doing it, right? And so that's all I expect of anybody is just if you like it, come be a part of it. You know, spread the word if you like it. If you don't, go do what you like. I want everyone to be happy. Let's see here. Lerda Word says, I don't know why I can't find your membership on YouTube, but I will join on Patreon. Oh, well, thank you very kindly. You know, usually you might have to click out of the chat
the chat window, and you might see the join button or become a member button. Depends on where you're at, like what it says, but it's usually a little button somewhere in the player window or on my profile home screen. Let's see here. Johnny Best says, we love you. That's why you got like 20,000 in donations and super chats per year. No, I don't have that much. That's so Johnny Best. I can show you right now what I've got. Actually, why not? Let's have some transparency here. And then we'll talk about taboos. This is one of the first taboos. YouTubers don't talk about what they actually make or anything, and then they pretend like they need help and they're broke and this or that. And some really are, and others are not at all. And some have big empires that they're paying, and they're doing I don't know what. I guess they're let's see here. Where is dashboard? Video analytics. Oh, we want the channel dashboard. Okay, I'll pull this up for you guys once I get it, so I can show you a breakdown exactly of where my money comes from. My money, all my precious. Oh, here we go. Earn. Okay, that's not it. What the heck? Where is analytics? There we go. Okay. All right, guys, let me open up that window in case you're curious, because yeah, that is a taboo. Blue Mint says, we appreciate you. This is my first live chat with you, but your knowledge is very insurmountable. Oh, well, it's not. It's very mountable. I just ask other people who are experts, but I will track down an expert for you. I'm not necessarily an expert of anything, but tracking down other experts. CJ says, considering a patio pond this year, probably 40 gallons. Any tips for success? I have a couple videos on that. The main thing you're going to need to worry about is your high temperature, your low temperature, and predators. Once you get that stuff figured out, then you need to figure out what fish can fit within your high, your low, and in a non-aerated, stagnant, watery kind of situation. Or you can run a pump and an aerator, air stone of some sort, and then you have a whole more of that. You know what, Blue Man? I want to disclose donations and things. I really do, because I think YouTubers in general don't make it clear like what's going on and how YouTube has changed. Like I used to make half the content as far as what people were watching, and I used to make double what I'm making now. Well, not quite double. Like I made like 3,500 a month at one point, making half the viewed content. And they have changed things as such so that that's no longer the case, which tis a bummer. Where the heck? Analytics, revenue. There we go. Okay, so then we got to share this video right here. We go present. We go share screen. Here we go. And then we go to YouTube Studio. Share. All right, guys. So, revenue for this last month. Each day on average, the videos make somewhere between around 73 and like this week I made like $40 today or yesterday, another 48 the day before, 61 day before that, 62. So right now things are dropping precipitously as I have not posted new content for about a week, but 62 is what I can expect if I make 2 videos and 2 live streams a week, generally speaking. But you can see here what I made the last 6 months. So last month before taxes, I made $2,457. The month before that, $2,128. Now, I get all of this gets reported to the IRS as independent business ownership, either entertainment or education. There's not a YouTuber category necessarily, or like media editing, media news. There's a few ways people report it, but it gets taxed. Locally, we have a 10.9 or 11.2, depending on which city you're in. Where I'm at, Shoreline in Seattle, sales tax. So we don't have an income tax for the state level, but we do have a 32% for corporate tax federally, basically. But then you can knock that way down by writing stuff off. So right here, the last 28 days. So to talk about, if we want to go into like March, or let's see, yeah, so March, that's the best month that I've had in over a year, guys. So you can see here, October 2100, December 2000, January 2222, or yeah, 2222, February 2128. So then imagine about a third of this needs to get set aside for taxes, quarterly paid, not annually paid. And then I get a tax refund of, and it should be like, I should get like, I don't know, 2,000 back or something like that after all the write-offs. But right here, you can see where the money gets split up. And you can see like on my very best video that I've done in years, literally this video did so well. The top 30 fish, when I changed the thumbnail for this video, it did incredibly. I got 52,000 views. I got $200 that made. So 50,000 views made me $200 on a video that is 20 minutes long, with good retention. Now, the next closest videos, when I talk about things like fish keeping conspiracies, $15 or 15 minutes long. This one I made $52, and things drop off precipitously from there. You can see they drop real fast. So when we go into and looking at all of these, we get down into the like $6, $8, 79 cents. $5.59 I made off some videos. So there's a lot of videos that just don't make good money whatsoever. They don't even make sense in theory. If that was what you were making, it wouldn't make sense to do that. So wait, why did this, how do I get back out of here? Video, I think I can I just do this? Yes, okay. So then I wanted to show you how I make the money though. Revenue source. And can I do a bar chart? Yeah, bar charts. Okay, so super chats and gifted memberships. So this is the stuff like Johnny Best is always helping out with. A lot of you guys are doing super chats during live streams. But in the last 2 months, I've made, or in the last month, so the last month that I made the best money I've made in a year, I made $157 in super chats altogether that month. And that's in 8 live streams. And I made 147 in all those memberships that you guys, so altogether, that's $300 basically that I made off of super chats and gifted memberships in a month. That's pretty good. Now, people who watch YouTube Premium, I get a few dollars for each person who signed up for YouTube Premium because they don't watch ads. So I also get another little kickback of money, like 130 out of, the thousands. But really, it's the ads on my videos that I get 1,145 from. And then look at this, memberships, $529. But remember, gifted memberships are 147. So out of the 2,400 I made last month, more than 600, like 700 of it almost is the YouTube premium membership and watch ads. So really only $300 of the 4,300 was that, which is fine. That's great. But anyways, that's how it breaks down in case you're curious. And sure, do I wish that we could have more members and more things like that? Of course. But I'm so happy just to have you guys here hanging out and asking questions, whatever. So yeah, that is what is going on. All right, so let's talk about the taboos of the fish hobby. That's what I really wanted to talk about today, actually. Yeah, it's a lot of money and gear for software. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's all the money I make. I spend hours and hours a week, so it's also all mortgage, all my insurance. My insurance premium is $700, $778 a month after taxes, and then like my prescription bill is $300 a month after that. So $1,000 of my life is for medication and stuff before I even get to surgeries or any other issue. That's what's always held me up in life financially. Otherwise, I'd have the sweetest studio with tons of tanks. But it is you guys, it is you who allow me to have a rimless aquarium over here, or it's other creators, it's companies that want to work and do projects together. So I am incredibly thankful for all of that, you guys. Thank you. Alter M, what's up? So I want to know, you guys, what are the taboos of fish keeping? I can think of like 3 big taboos that nobody wants to touch when it comes down to it. First one being tank size. Nobody wants to admit that they're putting a lot of fish in a little tank, or they're putting a big fish in a little tank. They get just annihilated by public perception when that happens. Justin, what's up? Good to see you, man. And Alter, thank you. I'm glad you like it. Joey, what's up? And Lerda, hello. Yeah, and if you guys have other questions, like I was saying, please, at history or at Fishery, the at symbol Fishery, it'll let me see your questions much easier. Wicked Freaking Aquatics, what's up? See what I did there? Hey, happy Friday. Yeah, I see what you did there. It's a fry, like a fry. Seville Steve, hello. Yeah, we got, what's that? Is this some tango? What's going on there? I can't tell what dance that is. I don't know, stick figure dance. Anyways, so yeah, I think that's one big one. Another big taboo in the hobby, and I kind of wanted to like explore some of these things at some point in the future, and that's why I was curious what you guys think the taboos are, rather like so James Nguyen, you want to know about my lightning story. I got hit by lightning, I believe 2017, in Ballard, which is a neighborhood of Seattle, Finney Ridge. It's a 300 or 400 foot elevation hill that kind of faces the water. Like right where the salt water, there's mountains across the way, then there's some salt water, the Puget Sound, and then it comes up into a big hill. And so when weather comes off the water, it can be pretty nasty. And out of nowhere, you can get some thunderstorms or some really strong winds once in a blue moon. But I'm not going to tell you the story of getting hit by lightning and all that was involved. It actually took several months to know what happened. So I did a video several years after I got hit by lightning, and it said what it's like to be hit by lightning. And I did an update, I believe, at the 5-year mark, a year and a half ago. So if you search Alexander Williamson or Seattle Man Hit by Lightning or Fishery Lightning, you can find both my video. You'll find the local news channel's little story they ran. They listened to the police scanners and to 911, and so after they got, like, after 2 weeks, all that becomes public, whatever they're hearing chatter on. And they apparently heard the call go out that the medics were going to pick up somebody who had claimed to be hit by lightning. Like, they're like, we have a call for help with lightning. And then they got there, they're like, yeah, that's an affirmative, blah, blah, blah. So they were able to track down my address by listening to the 911 calls that were publicized. And I think some like intern or something must do that at these news stations, because I got hit up by the big news station in town first. They just came to my door, knocked on my door with a camera, and were like, can we come in and talk to you about the lightning experience? They were really bold, and I was still like recovering and real jolted. And I didn't know how bad things were going to be. I thought my teeth were only going to cost $6,000 to get 19 teeth replaced. No, I ended up having to get all my teeth replaced. Anyways, you can watch the videos on that. There's already videos up where I get into that. But it does make me fairly emotional, because it changed the fact I'm not going to have kids. My wife and I were trying. We were going to a fertility clinic. I used to work physical jobs, and I did, graphic design, tattooing stuff. You wouldn't think of that necessarily, the tattooing and stuff, as a physical job, but you're leaning, you're bending, and it's hard when you've broken your back in 2 places and you have 5 herniated discs, as well as nerve damage in your hand and leg. So yeah, it's the hobby has been what really saved me, and why I've leaned into the hobby and into the intellectual and every weird facet of the hobby that you can imagine, ever since my life was changed and I was told, you're going to be on permanent disability, you're never going to work again, you may not walk again, like stuff like that. And I never was on disability. No shame to anybody who was, but I was able, because of the channel was making me like $500, and it was enough to float me by with my wife and leaning on family for a few months. And then I just focused on the channel for that whole next year. Then we got to a point where I was making like maybe $2,000 for a year. And then I made like $2.5, $3,000 for a year. And then I made $3,000 to $3.5 for a year. And now we're back to like $2,000 to $2.5 a year, or a month each year. Sorry about that. That's confusing unless you've been here the whole time. Anyways, Alter, have a good one, man. You take care. So what I was gonna say is, oh, Joey, it's all right, man. It's life, Now I've decided, though, that like I really have a serious life goal that is not going to be about children. It's not going to be about my wife and I having kids. It is going to be about trying to create a legacy. I don't care if my name is attached to it at all. I just want to leave something of the world protected and better for the future. And I want to encourage as many people as I can in my life to love learning and to love the natural world. And we need to interact with it to some degree, obviously, to appreciate it, to be in it, to know it, but also to leave it alone and just let it be nature, so that we can later come back and see it with new eyes every 50 years. When we have these major leaps in technology, things like electricity, things like the steam engine, or things like DNA, computers. Every time we have these massive technological movements and changes, you can go back and you can look at natural processes and find inspiration. And we never know where that's going to be. Now, I happen to love a lot of animals, but I think fish are a great and fascinating creature for care and confinement in the home. They're a manageable creature that I think we can provide a somewhat quality life for, much more so than a lot of other animals. I think a lot of people have dogs and cats that lead miserable lives because they don't get to do anything. They don't give them any stimulation. They don't get to go out and play or whatever. And, I think it's all relative, but at the same time, I also think that the more intelligent and social and understanding of the world that a creature is, just to me personally, the more I empathize with it needing space, it needing to be what it is that it evolved to be in the world that it evolved to be. And so this channel is really what this channel and the Green Earth Alliance that Ivan and I have set up, Ivan McColgi and I have set up. The project is basically to try to get indigenous people around the world. So whether that's Brazilian people in the poor slums of like Rio, and there's all sorts of sewers and like little water channels when it rains and the hillsides and stuff flood. There's all sorts of these like spillways and stuff, and there's even like species or I should say strains of endlers and guppies that live only in certain neighborhoods. Hi, baby girl. Oh, come here, baby girl. What? So, sorry, guys. So I was saying we have all these critters living even in amongst humans and chaos and conditions that aren't even good enough for humans to live a fulfilling and happy and healthy life in. Yet, still, nature will survive. And kitty cat, where are you gonna go? You want to climb up this? It smells. There's like a bad, like the window or my door is open, and it smells very, uh, like an animal died, and the cat's been inside all day. So I'm gonna really hope that she did not do something bad to like a mouse or something. I just got a whiff of something. The back screen door is open because it's like the first real nice day we've had in a while. But anyways, yeah, the Green Earth Alliance is the idea is to take people locally, take experts from their country or regional part of the world, figure out which fish can sustainably be harvested, and then to help them pick, like, whether that's gourami and a few rasboras and some bettas, then take those species, have them bred by the tribe people out in remote areas or even in like impoverished neighborhoods and things, doing aquaculture, intertwining more healthy organic eating of food and using ecology, biology, and all sorts of new technology as well to do the aquaculture part of supplementing food, being able to sell things like maybe strawberries. Maybe they have some chickens and the chicken waste goes in to make manure, and they cut up some of the tilapia scraps and then they eat the tilapia, but they're also breeding some of the tilapia. And then they've got another pond that they take the wastewater from and put that into blueberry bush, whatever works for the region. We want to help figure that out. And then we want, and if it's a subsistence-based lifestyle, then so be it. We just want to teach them how to spawn those fish without having to deplete those fish in the wild. Now, if those fish are completely fine in the wild, like Project Piaba, where they find that cardinal tetras can survive, you can harvest billions of cardinal tetras and they will not go extinct because every year cardinal tetras are in the water that spills over the slope or the banks of the Amazon River, and they get stuck in floodplains, they get stuck in little creeks and stuff, and they die when the water dries out. That's part of their survival strategy, though. That's why they scatter 30 eggs every, however many days. That's why they have a ton of babies. So that's going to happen anyways. And those people, if they go collect the fish from those areas, they're not doing anything other than reducing some of the nitrogen and nutrients that is put back into the forest via dead fish. And there's still plenty of other dead fish to do that. So, that's why I think that could really be a game changer in also lowering the price, but giving a really good price to the indigenous people of these places and the locals, and hiring local scientists, local students, local universities, and local history museums and aquariums. What are you doing? Why do you keep hopping into? Oh, you brought a toy. She's been bringing all her toys and saying, I want to play. And then she's been scratching my leg. And then I pick her up and I say, what do you want, Mr. Kitty Cat, Mrs. Kitty Cat? And then she waggles out of here. So she needs attention. My wife's gone tonight. She needs attention. That's what's going on. But so yeah, Andrew, Kitty. Hi, Kitty. So this is what she brought me. Is a butterfly. It's a tattered butterfly. We've gone through 5 of these now. And yeah, it's a tattered butterfly. Ooh, ooh. And she's waiting for me to throw it now. Cave of Wonders, what's up? Good to see you. So I crumple it up and then I throw it, and then she'll bring it back. She always brings it back. She plays fetch over and over and over, and literally this is how it goes all night long. I have no life, guys. I see that computer. It's an aquarium. That's not a computer, guys. I as much as I know you think it is. Sorry I had to correct you all. So I'll throw it and hello, princess. I'm up on a bar stool type chair. Well, that's weird with the background. So anyways, I did want to talk more. Whoa, you can see the illusion behind the curtain. No. Hydrocooled carrot, what's up? Good to see you. Oh, your cory catfish is laying eggs on your tank wall. Well, that's exciting. Go film it. Go film it. Go film it. How do you keep the eggs from being eaten? The eggs will hatch in 2 to 3 days, usually with corydoras. And basically, you can just get them off the wall, off the tank wall. Let the cories do their thing because they have to be fertilized. So, Joey, what you do is you're going to see that the Johnny Best, you are going to leave. Have a great early night and have a good one, man. Good to see you. Have a blast, whatever you're up to. So, Joey, you've got the cory cats. They're swimming in here. And they're going up and down the glass, up and down the glass. And then they'll start to do, one of them will turn sideways and the other one's going up and down the glass. And the male will, I think, hit the female in the belly. And it's what's called the T position. And then she'll start going up and down the glass. And then they'll go together and they'll lay the eggs. And the male will follow behind right under her. And then like this, he'll pass over the eggs and surpass her, and he'll fertilize the eggs. And so once they're fertilized in the glass, usually after they're fertilized, you can't tell right away, but it could take up to an hour or 2 for the male to fully realize, oh, she's laying the eggs, I need to fertilize them, and for him to take a couple passes and do his business. But once that's done, some people take the eggs quickly and don't really care if they're not all fertilized all the way, because they know that species or that group of cories and they know how well they're going to do. Other people wait a day, 2 days, 3 days, and they take all the other fish out and leave the eggs in there. But if you're going to take the eggs, keep them in very, very, very clean water. So you want to put them in distilled water or water from a water bottle that has no chlorine, no bacteria or fungi growing already yet. And even them being in the tank, they'll have been exposed to some of that stuff. So some people will use a drop of methylene blue, or they'll use a drop of clove oil in a larger container. Now, too much clove oil and you put fish to sleep a little teeny bit, and you can probably find amounts online of the exact ratio for eggs. And it just helps keep things sterilized. Same with like garlic as well, or salt for that matter. But I think the best way is just to take the cory eggs, and I usually take them and gently roll them up the glass. Just push very gently, and like if this is the glass and they're on the glass all over here, they're usually laid in like kind of lines of like 5 to 20, and you can kind of go like this and roll like 2 or 3 of them up the glass at a time, and then once I get them to the top of the water, I'll kind of let go and let them fall for a sec, and then I'll scoop under and then cup it and put it in my hand, and I'll get like either a yogurt container or an old prescription bottle or something, or a can, and I'll cut the top off the bottle or can, and I'll literally use that. Or you can take that whole can or cup and put that in the aquarium, and then use a credit card or something like that, like a plastic piece of something, and slide them off into the kind of cup off the glass. You can do that, and then they can just hang out at the bottom. Now, when they're not moving, or they don't have the cories moving and swimming over them, the problem is that then you don't get the water flow of their tail and their fins moving the water, which limits the amount of fungi, bacteria, and rot that can go on there. Which is precisely why the parents are doing that, and for oxygen too. Now, when they first hatch, they're going to have a belly that has yolk in it, and they'll be fine. They won't need any food for 2 to 4 days. Sometimes it's up to 5 with corydoras. But any pretty decent established tank that's been up for 6 months to a year probably has enough food for young cories, like for a few, like maybe 2 dozen of them, to browse and eat for the first week or 2. But white worms are great. You can take a little bit of egg yolk and cook, like hard boil an egg, and then you can just take the egg yolk and kind of like go like this in the water. That's also a good source of protein for little tiny fry fish. And then as they get bigger, you can feed, vinegar eels, white worms, baby brine shrimp, Daphnia, anything like that works. And then once they're about a month or 2 old, depending on the species and the size and how all of that stuff, you can then feed them on like chopped up bloodworms or something like that to grow them pretty quickly. But there's a lot of good guides out there on the internet of how to raise cories. But that first part, getting the eggs, get them away from the parents after they're fertilized. And you can monitor them and look at them. And if they turn an amber clear color, almost like a lager or an apple juice color, cider color, that's good. If they turn a milky white color, that's bad. And that milky white is a fungus that is gotten through the outer membrane of the egg, and it will spread, and it will spread on the outside of the egg, and it'll start to look like, I don't know, a ball with a bunch of little spikes on it. The little fuzzy spikes, and those can spread to all the other eggs. So you want to get those ones out of there with like a little toothpick or Q-tip or whatever you can use. Just kind of pull those out of there on day 2 or 3 if you see any of those real opaque, milky, like milk colored ones. Aloha, hello. Steve says, "Hey everybody, I was curious to know how and who decided what the best size tank for a fish species. I've been in the hobby for a few years, and it's been a fascinating experience." Hey Steve, that's a good question. Personally, I take the expert advice on tank size if I'm inexperienced with the species. Yeah, that's a good, I asked somebody who's kept the fish, if I haven't. At this point, 20 years of keeping fish pretty much straight, and the last I guess 11 or 12 years now, I have had planted tanks and multiple fish tanks and multiple fish, and I've been breeding pretty much nonstop for like the last at least 10 years now, 11 years. But my whole life since I was a kid, off and on, I had fish and bred fish. But this last round, it's just I've been living, eat, breathe, sleep, fish. Quit my job, do fish. All everything must be fish related and aquatic plant. So I have kept quite a few fish. I'm at 373 last I looked, I think, species bred. So you kind of get a feel for it. But I think that the main key is to keep fish and care for them well enough that they get to an adult size, whatever that may be, and understand the dynamic between them and their species, them and their environment, and whether they need territory or whether they are like a fish that circles the whole tank all day, or whether they're a fish that just kind of hangs out mid-water or at the bottom or the top. So getting to know those things, and then also knowing how it is at feeding time. Is it aggressive? Is it shy? Does it need help? You need to kind of feed the back of the tank while everyone swarms to the front. And then same with, the how it treats other species, obviously, how violent it is, period. But really it is just experience, and there's no hard and fast rule. So usually online there are guides with opinions, but I would say a lot of opinions have been proven incorrect. People that thought you cannot keep a betta with any other fish for years and years, that was the rumor, right? Can't keep a betta, especially not a male betta, with any sort of community fish. And it turns out almost never is there a problem. You can keep a male single betta or a female group of bettas with tons of community tetras, rasboras, loaches, you name it. So that's my thought on that. All right, Justin Starbuck, how long does it take for fertilized Epistogramma vieta eggs to hatch and free swim with mama? Also, how often can they breed? Okay, so from my experience with this, my pair won't breed at all right now, and I'm so fed up with them. They're over 2 years in not breeding. But in theory, I think the oh wait, no, great. The cat just knocked a piece of glass that is the top of my aquarium co-op little mini tank that I was going to put together. She just knocked it onto the floor, and it looks like it's broken. Great. But no, I would say that I have the McMasteri Vieja red shoulder. I don't have the actual Vieja that is the species Epistogramma Vieja. That's the rarer one, and it is around, so that's cool if you got that, by the way. But I don't for sure know about that, but I know most Epistos, there's kind of a phase of where the eggs hatch, then they don't do much of anything for 2 to 4, maybe 5 days, depending on temperature and depending on how much protein the mother had. If she had a lot of protein and she didn't have a lot of babies, those babies will have big old yolk sacs. If she had a lot of protein and a lot of babies, then a lot of babies will have a little bit of yolk sac, but she'll have like 100 babies or more. Whereas, their body will kind of decide what to do with that. And it usually kind of finds the average of what works out best for each fish. And each time they lay eggs, it should be more and more fish as the fish kind of broaden up and get bigger and all that. Now, I would say that with the Epistos, you get this period of eggs incubating week-ish, and then the maybe 5 days-ish to a week-ish, and then they hatch, and then they're what we call sticky heads, where their heads are literally sticky to the touch. If you were to put your hand in there, you'd get a few of them stuck to your finger. And they just stick themselves to the corner or to a cave or to a rock or under like bits of sand, whatever, wherever they can hide, plants, things. And they just live again off their yolk sac internally for as long as possible. And that depends on the mom. It can be up to a week, but it can also be as short as 2 or 3 days, 48 to 72 hours. So if you see those little tiny fish swimming around and they're up in the corner or they're down in the corner and they're starting to kind of group together, usually the day that they kind of lose their yolk sacs, some of them start kind of hanging out together. And they're usually either right in the substrate layer and just kind of hopping along it, like swimming a little ways and then resting. And then they just look like eyes and a spine, right? And the yolk will be gone at that point. So you won't even see the yolk. It just looks like eyes and a little eyelash with a little two little silver eyes on it, silver and black eyes. And basically they need to find micro food at that point. So infusoria or any sort of little algae, spirulina, cyanobacteria, fungi, all those kinds of things that come from diversity in the tank or from specialized baby foods. That's going to be their diet for really usually about a week or two of that first swimming period. And during this time, they're going to grow very fast. And they're going to go from looking like stick figures with 2 eyes and just a stick to actually looking like little tadpoles and then little fish within like 2 to 3 weeks. And then they'll start eating food. Usually around 3 or 4 weeks, they'll start actually moving around with mom. They should be hanging out in mom's corner, and mom or dad will be around, but not necessarily like herding them around cutesy, like for probably a month usually. But then they'll just kind of come out of nowhere. Sometimes you don't see the babies at all. And then mom reveals like she's been hiding them in the cave the whole time. And now they're out and about and they're just going to like, do a little, we've made it in town kind of thing. So that's always super fun. And then I would say when can they breed or how often can they breed? I've never had a pistos breed more than like every 2 or 3 months. Yeah, it's at least I'd say a 2 or 3 month recharge in between spawns. And I don't know if that's protein on the females or if there's like a cycle or what it is, or if it's just me and I'm a bad fish keeper and other people have better luck and they do it every day or whatever. But especially if you leave the parents to see the babies hatch, that triggers something in the parents' neurology to then be in parenting mode, be in territorial attack mode. But a lot of times if they get too stressed and they start eating babies, that's when you want to pull the babies out. And that's with any fish, because they'll do that sometimes. They'll just get overwhelmed by whatever it may be, and you'll just want to pull them out. And Joey, so I keep them in another container until they hatch. For the cories, you can take the eggs, put them in another container, like a yogurt container that's been washed out with water real thoroughly, or a little cup or a glass even. It's best to put a little air stone in there, and then 2 to 4 days ish, I don't know, 3 days, 5 days, it depends on, like I said, it does depend on the species and the color, and there's 600 and some species of course. So yeah, then they'll hatch, and then once they're the sticky head kind of like not just living off their yolk sac, then they need to be in an aquarium that has some algae and bacteria and biofilm and little bits and pieces of stuff to eat. Or you need to put them in a different yogurt container or something and cook up eggs, like hard-boiled eggs, take that yolk and, like I said, crumble a little tiny piece, like the size of a pencil eraser or the size of like a bead off of this, and crumble that for all the fish. And you just kind of make it murky in the water, and they should come up and just kind of eat the little bits of it. That is what you can do that usually works pretty well. or golden pearls, or there's a number of other ways too. But that's what I recommend. Okay, let's see here. Betacachina's first spawn, decimated microfauna, have only had a single double fish spawn since the first. Related, I think, yeah. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Fish can do a number on all the little critters they eat, and they can kind of wipe it out. And so yeah, it goes great the first time, but sometimes you need to leave that tank alone with no fish in it for a month, 2 months, 3 months, so that it can really rebound and provide for the fish again. Check the fish box. Open question: if your longfin guppies were getting beat up and they ate, and the only semi-aggressive fish are Burchardi, crebensis, and a rainbow fish, who do you think it's gonna be? It might be the crebensis, but I think it's probably the Burchardi. That it might, but it could be the crebensis if it's mating season. If they're trying to have babies, but the Burchardi, I think. Oh, if you don't think it's him, if you don't think man, I would lean towards the cribs. Probably. I've seen cribs and guppies fight before. I mean, the guppies aren't really fighting. They're kind of just, they sometimes get pestery or annoying, and they'll sometimes even eat, like, it's gross, but like poo coming out of other fish, or they'll kind of just like pick at something that's like gross on the other fish, and their slime coat or whatever, and that is when other bigger fish, like a crib, it turns around and goes like, knock it off. Yeah, quarantine, see what happens. Let's see here. Sometimes fish can totally randomly decide to have a problem after being together for years. Yeah, that's totally true. Even if some were bred one new species every month, it would take over 31 years to breed 371 fish. Yeah. That's funny because 371 fish. Well, the way my club counts it is like live bearers count as a fish. That's a species, right? So the fact that I have had 32 tanks for several years, and a lot of those tanks have more than one species, and I'm always cycling several things spawning at a time out, they actually will count Endler versus Guppy, an Endler Guppy hybrid. Although that's 3 different kinds of fish, technically speaking, by club rules. Yeah. Johnny Best, very renowned, published aquarists, even professionals like Rosario Lacart. Yeah, they definitely do, Johnny. Yeah, I mean, I have people in my club that are up in the 480s, up in the 500s, and yeah, I am a master breeder though. And I do have like the certificate and everything from my club, but I haven't been filing reports about it. The thing is, they also give you credit for a species at clubs that I don't count this, but like white worms, Walter worms, all that kind of stuff. But for me, I like to set up nature tanks with 2 or 3 species that have a good chance of being able to spawn a few fry and survive those few fry all the way to adulthood in each tank I keep. And that's kind of different than a lot of people keep their tanks. A lot of people just want a really crazy busy community tank that's beautiful. And I totally understand where people are coming from. But I really had an obsession with breeding fish. And like that to me was the apex for years of like what makes them happy. Now, granted, I would say that I came into the club with a good 70 or 80 species under my belt, mostly live bearers and simple things like crebensis that can take care of their own babies. Also stuff like plecos. So technically they count the bristlenose pleco, the snow white, the longfin, the shortfin. Those are 3 different fish. They're different hybrids of different wild populations, and some of them are different species melded together, but they don't know always in a hobby, especially before genetic testing comes in. So things like the red-tailed lizard cat, that's one I haven't bred, but I know people that breed that one, and you know, that's one where we don't even know for sure what species created it right at the moment. There's probably 2 or 3 different combinations out there in the hobby going around as red-tailed lizard cats. They're not caught in the wild ever, those red whiptail lizard cats. Yeah, but let's see here. Emerald Dent. Here's a cup. Oh, Taboos, right on. A heavily planted guppy tank with no heater, no filter, yet crystal clear water. Practically all females in the tank, and they are happy. Interesting. Practically all females. Well, that's why they're happy. There's no males harassing them in the tank. Male guppies are relentless, right? You know, that's interesting though. No heater. You know, guppies used to not be a fish that people thought of as needing a heater. And that's just simply for the fact that your house would be over 65 degrees, say, and that would in theory be plenty in like the 50s and 60s. Now, you know, if you let your house get cooler than that, I mean, now it's more like 70 you don't want to dip below, because they breed all those fancy guppy species, or lines I should say, are bred in captivity a lot of times, or they're bred in captivity that may be outside and in a pond, which is fine and all, but it's in like Indonesia, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Vietnam, and it's like 110 Fahrenheit and humid and all this stuff. So yeah, it really makes a big difference. Justin says, anything cool I can do with my 75-gallon barb tank? Black ruby barbs, red glass barbs. Oh, that's cool. And 5 clown loaches and a green dragon pleco. 75. So you got 75-gallon barb tank, black ruby barbs, red glass barbs, 5 clown loaches. Now, the 5 clown loaches are probably the biggest limiting factor. Do you plan on keeping those? Because that will max out your population in your tank and then some. Realistically, those things can get like 9 to 12 inches, depending on. Cat, come on, sweetie, I know you're so cute and I love you and all that, but you're really, it's not your show. It's not your show, honey. So I would say, you know, you could do something fun. Maybe in that tank, you could probably do some killifish at the top of the water. That might be interesting. I would say you could add another type of loach, a smaller loach, or even like some sort of like a lizard loach, or like a zodiac loach or something like that, or a serpent loach, a horse face loach, something like that. You could probably also do like scissor tail rasboras or something like that, that would swim more mid-water and kind of in between everybody, but they can move fast enough that they'll get out of the way of the barbs if the barbs get nippy at all. Barbs can be kind of nippy. It really depends. I don't know. I haven't had I've had the ruby barbs. I've had the black barbs. And obviously cherry barbs. I haven't had red glass barbs. That's interesting though. And Justin, thank you for the gifted membership. Appreciate it. John Smith, too late. You eat pet fish for breakfast. Oh, well, that's delicious. A female guppy is giving birth in my tank today, and a male is following her around, harassing her. Sounds pretty normal. You know, the male, I was looking at a paper that had hey, Sumi. the cat is drinking was drinking out of a bucket of dirty water over there, which is no good. I was just taking out cyanobacteria and algae and all this stuff out of the water. Gross cat. You're a gross cat. Yeah. Anyways, congrats to the new member. That's yeah, Daniel Ingalls. Hello, Heidi. Hello, Kitty. Meow. Daniel Ingalls. My wife had to stop at the local fish shop from buying a pre-drilled 125 with stand and sump and equipment for a fantastic price. Maybe next time. Oh yeah, I know that's hard to pass up stuff like that, isn't it? I feel you. Well, next time. Aaron Estes, what's up? Good to see you. Fish FK, what's up? Ideas for a peaceful yet busy 25-gallon deep substrate tank. So if you got a 25-gallon, that's an interesting size. I don't know what that would look like necessarily. I know a 20-gallon, like 25-gallon cube, I guess I've seen. But I'm gonna assume it's roughly like a 20 tall or a 20 plus another 5 gallons of height on it or something like that, or a cube. So I'm gonna assume I would do 6 to 9 small species: cory habrosus, cory pygmaeus, habrosus, or histatus, or any of those, and those would be kind of part of my cleanup crew on the ground. Then I'd probably do a marbled or zebra stripe autocinclus. Beautiful fish, cleans the glass and hard surfaces of the real tough algae before it even starts. I'd probably get a nearite snail or 3 in a 25-gallon, depending on if I was going to put lots of lights in it. And I probably would put lots of lights and a good amount of plants. At least half of my surface area is probably going to have plants from floor to ceiling. And I would then probably pick a show fish. So something like a nice betta or a gourami, like a powder blue female dwarf gourami, or a couple honey gouramis maybe, or a lake inlay loach with a red tail, or a Amazon puffer, even something interesting, something that interests you, and then allow its scraps to be edible to the cories that are down below, or some sort of loach or reticulated hillstream loach or something like that. And then I would get some sort of micro or nano, whatever you want to call them, rasbora, like a phoenix rasbora, or a strawberry or exclamation point rasbora, or something like a kitty tetra or a reed tetra. And I would get maybe 9 of those, 12 of those, and get something schooling: neon tetras, green neon tetras, blue neon tetras, something like that. And then maybe the last thing you could kind of cram in there, you could, if you didn't get a betta or something too aggressive as your kind of starfish, your star, or your lead fish, the bigger fish in the tank that everyone comes to look at, you could do some sort of shrimp maybe. Their babies wouldn't survive very well, but the adults might be able to stay there. So that's probably what I would do. Alex, please consider doing a video on fish tuberculosis. I will when I learn more about it from Dan at Dan's Fish, and his veterinarian. When he is confident and will come on to my stream and say all that he has learned about how bad the fish industry is with disease, how many fish that look perfectly healthy are full of fish diseases when they do pathology on them worked up, I will then get into that. But I don't know a ton about fish TB, to be honest. And I know a lot of things get blamed as fish TB that aren't. So I haven't really known about it, yet I've been around fish a lot. So that says something that I haven't had to know about it really. Now, that would be different if you worked at a farm or somewhere with lots and lots of fish or really expensive fish. Okay, Joseph Guzman. How does one join a fish club? What kind of things can one get out of joining? Thanks, Alex. Yeah, no problem. So a fish club, I would say anywhere regionally, especially US, Europe, there's a lot of fish clubs. Usually there's one within 2 or 3 hours of you, probably somewhere, unless you live in Nevada, northern Nevada, or Wyoming or something. Sorry, guys, I'm getting asthma from probably the cat. I hope it's from the cat. Actually, I don't hope it's from the cat. But I'll keep fish TB in my mind too. Yeah, I will. I would say though, with the fish clubs, there's some online places like Aquarium Co-op that have kind of like speakers that speak once a month, or I don't know, is it still once a month? I think it's still once a month, or once every couple months, whatever it is. And they have boards and forums where you can ask questions. Most clubs now have an email or Facebook group where you can also talk amongst locals and fish keepers and fish lovers. The main thing you're going to get is access to auctions, swaps, phone numbers, and making friends with people in your area that breed what you're into, that have what you're into, that you may never ever happen to meet randomly, because some people are very introverted. Other people are not going to reach out on the same social media sites as you do. They're different ages, they're into different things. And a fish club is a way of bridging that gap by like having an interest in fish, right? So I think they're very handy. I've never seen one with more than like, I don't know, 25, 30 bucks for a year-long membership. Some are as cheap as $5, some are like 10 or 15, some are 20. And usually that lets you go and they have some sort of like holiday dinner or like event, a party. And then they'll do a monthly or bi-monthly auctions or swaps. And then usually every month or every few months, they'll bring in speakers that are experts in some aspect of the hobby. And I do, in case you're a member of a local club and you'd like me to come talk about anything, yeah, I'm always happy to do so. I love doing that. It's one of the best things that's happened since I started the channel is being able to go around and talk and get excited about learning and sharing what I'm learning and repackaging it and trying to make connections with things that we may have all learned at one point, kind of filed away, and then like this new info's here and like making the connection between the two so it lights up like a whole strand of lights in your brain rather than just two separate lights over here and over here. Like, let's get all the connections lit up and be excited about multidisciplinary learning at an affordable price. Amber Pepper, I have insane hair algae in my 40 gallon. It's moderately stocked. It happened after I upgraded my light, running it at 50%. Seems to be in higher flow areas. The tank has CO2 and nitrates of about 20. Okay, so I would say try to get your nitrates to 0. So more plants, add more plants if you can. If you have a lot of flow, unless it's just the flow out, like if you have a power head or anything running, kill it. Like just don't run that. But if you have just an outflow from your hang off the back filter and so forth, or from a canister filter, and that's just kind of pushing water into the aquarium, swirling around, that is usually where hair algae or black beard algae, where red algae, where that real like flowy, silky, like fine bristled algae grows, is in that current. And it could be that you have phosphates that are a little high, or you could have, potassium a little high, whatever, some element too high. But really, nitrates and light are usually your go-to, and then CO2. So CO2, turn the CO2 up if you're not at saturation, to another bubble per second or something, maybe 2 bubbles per second if you're at 1. If you're already near saturation, then don't do that. But I would say as long as you're nowhere near the green color on a tester, reagent tester for the CO2, that's fine to do. And in a 40 breeder, really, unless you've got like an atomizer and a big diffuser and stuff, you should be able to run a lot of CO2, like 3 or 4 bubbles a second, and not overdose your fish, realistically, if you've got flow like that as well. So I would say you can do that. And then, yes, Florida flagfish, that's a great suggestion, fusion developer. You could get a Florida flagfish. You could get a reticulated Siamese algae eater, which is the one with the diamond on its tail. It's got a black diamond on its the start of its tail, no line or stripe down the side, and it's a silver elongated fish. They're usually yay big at the store when you see them, about the size of a rummy nose tetra. They grow to like 7 inches or so fully grown, but they will, until they're fully grown, eat up to their weight in their dry weight. Sorry. Whenever I read that trivia, I'd always forget to say that was the caveat. They're dry weight, so as much as they weigh dried out in algae a day, and they will eat that. Now, most fish don't really like algae that much like that, but live bears, mollies, platies, stuff like that will also eat algae pretty well, just getting bored and eating it if you don't feed them other food. Every fish, if you feed it fish food daily or multiple times a day, is going to skip the algae and eat the junk food. It wants the French fries and the hamburger. It doesn't want the salad. It's a spoiled brat. That's why, that's just part of the deal. But I would say, the algae eaters should be working. And if your CO2 is blasting, that's good. Also, I would say you can turn your light up. Now, this may sound counterintuitive. Depending on what your light is, Blue Ball 3, Planet Plus, or a Chiros, or whatever it is, maybe turn it up and go buy a few more plants like hornwort or pearlweed or kabamba or bacopa, some stem plants that will pull out of the water and out of the ground. And then they will, or Ludwigia, that's another one that can pull a lot out of the water. And then that will also help lower your nitrates, but it's also going to help the CO2 get worked out, and it's going to utilize that light that you're pumping in. But some people don't expect that you can actually have too low of light for your aquarium, and then the algae does perfect. Whereas your high grade plants want to work harder and they have everything they need but the high light. And it's only during their high light intensity that they use some of the phosphates or more of the nitrogen out of the water in some form. So it could be that you may want to take, if you do 8 hours a day at 50%, maybe you want to do 6 hours a day at 80% and see how that goes. But if you do this, I would probably change one variable at a time, like introduce the algae eaters for a couple days, see what kind of dent they can put in it, and so on and so forth. Floating plants are another thing you can do to kind of shade out some of the areas. Now, most algae, as long as it's not cyanobacteria, blue-green algae, it's not going to harm your fish at all. So don't worry about the fish being unsafe or anything. They're fine. You've got time to correct, but learn what is going on in your tank so that you correct it holistically, and you don't just have to like dump some chemical in every 2 weeks and do all this or that. But I would also say, I would add, you went with cheap aqueon substrate. Could be phosphates then. Phosphates are real common. Silica also causes, if you got that like patchy powdery algae on your rocks or glass at all, if you see that, like it looks like someone took a makeup brush and just kind of like patted on it, like foundation or something, that is that's usually due to high silica, because they're diatom algae, and they're using the silica as the structure rather than the carbon. Whereas most other algae uses the carbon as their skeletal structure. But what can you do about that? Big water changes, adding new plants, intensifying your light, turn up your CO2 perhaps, and add more maintenance crew. If you're really burnt out, yeah, with the 3.0 light, that should be perfect. You can even run it full bore, full power. You might want to lift it up, like maybe get like a 2x4 or a block of wood that's maybe yay big for either side, and just raise the light a little bit so its cast is broader if you're turning it up. That can really help. But yeah, I hope that helps. I hope that helps. Alex, do you know much about using reverse respiration to get algae off plants? I tried it recently and it worked, and moss and java fern, but it killed my Sessiflora. Maybe 12 hours is too long. I don't. I wish I did. I need to learn more about that. Somebody brought that up to me, and I had not heard of it called what you just said. I'd not heard of it called the reverse respiration. I'd heard it called transpirational evacuation or some other name that I remember reading about a long time ago. And I had the same thing where I killed some of my plants. I've done that with hydrogen peroxide. I've done it with a number of things. And now basically when I have a bunch of algae on my plants, I just cut the plants with that algae. And I hope that I can grow new leaves fast enough that I don't have to look at the algae anymore, which is, I know, kind of lazy or a way out, but it still takes work actually. But yeah, that happens too. Or I'll give them a little more shade. But no, I need to read up on that, and I will read up on that because I've now been asked several times about that. So I'll remind myself to learn about that and try to let you guys know what I find out as well. Sorry, I let you down off the shooting from my hip. Steve, Seville Steve, I have bred many species of fish, but never empire gudgeons. So I was thinking I may try. Given the change between fresh and brackish water and how small the fry are and feeding challenge, is it going to be difficult? Kenny Danikin, Kenny Edwards of Danikin Aquatics, he bred some of those, I think. Yeah, he did. He did it in all fresh water, and that seemed to work really well. I don't know if that's the norm, but if you can keep it all stable water conditions, that's much easier than trying to bring them into salt, get them to spawn, and acclimate them to fresh, all that like switching. So I would say pick either getting your brackish water changes and water condition parameters to stay pretty stable, and then work on the spawning. Or I would say work on getting a freshwater range that they look healthy, vibrant, and feeding them well. Maybe try feeding them live food. And another thing that's important is usually make sure that you put food in that's live food for their babies. Even though their babies aren't there yet, many fish are looking for the cue of, is there paramecium? Is there infusoria in this water? Is there something that my babies will eat? And they will not spawn until they see that there's some sign of that present. Flagfish can be a bit pushy. I agree. Yeah, Fishy Business says 100% only change one thing at a time and be patient. Yep. I mean, you can try all these things as much as you want, all at once. But if you're really trying to know your tank, always just change one thing at a time. Have I kept crocodile toothpick fish? I have kept them a couple times. I never kept them more than about a year and a half. they're supposed to live a little longer than that. So I don't think I'm a good keeper of them so far. And I do want to keep them again. I think I'd do a better job this time. I think it's important just to give them lots of live food, because I think a lot of times they stop eating what is being offered for them. And also I think they deplete the nano flora and fauna in your aquarium, all the plankton and stuff. I think they'll eat it in the time they're there, and then it can't rebound because they're there. Where that's what I would work to fix. I would get them like Daphnia or whatever it is they want to eat, brine shrimp, baby brine shrimp, and I'd feed them a lot of that live and try it again. I do want to try them again. They're really cool. Also, thoughts on paradise fish. Love paradise fish. Grow them in a tub outside. They're pretty cool. Wicked freaking aquatics. I also have a video on paradise fish and like them mating. I got some albino paradise fish. There's some info in there if you're interested. They have been around quite a while. They've actually been around a few hundred years as a domestic line of fish, from both all the way up in Korea Peninsula regions in China, like Incheon, all the way down to like northern Vietnam and maybe even Thailand. There are various species in southern China, Yunnan province. Yeah, the other thing, Wicked freaking Aquatic says plastic plants are taboo. I always feel guilty buying them, even though they are for quarantine tanks, because I can clean them. Hey, that's a totally valid thing. I get it. I get it. I get it. I think you're right, though. I think that is a major taboo. That's a good one. We'll have to bring this topic up again, because we kind of got all over the place tonight. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna round error glitch. I am getting a little tired in the mouth, a little long in the mouth. I'm always talking too much. Hey there, pilgrim. But I think I am going to try to get out of here, get away from you crazy, crazy people. But no, it's been a pleasure, and I'll get any questions that are in here right at the moment. Let's see here. Amber says, I think that's why I got algae in the first place. I took out a massive bit of guppy grass, added new stems, introduced CO2, RO, and upgraded my light all within a month. Yeah, that'll do it, Amber. I mean, it sounds like you know what you're doing, and you know that like something just kind of got off kilter, and you'll dial it back in. You know, sometimes you go a month and algae goes nuts, and then it kind of just calms down. That is part of the natural cycle. That happens. If you go to your local lake or stream, I don't care if it's in Hawaii or India or Scotland or South Africa, there are just seasons, and there are different, the wet season, the dry season, the different seasons if you're in, out past the Capricorn tropics. But there are times when there's lots of debris in the water and the water's murky and there's lots of bugs and lots of algae and whatever. There's other times when the water is usually pretty clear, or there are seasons, things change, and we should celebrate that. And that's fine, but just learn which change causes what things to happen so that you'll know. And that's hard sometimes, because sometimes we have to change things all of a sudden or quickly or a few at a time, because that's just, life doesn't always work on aquarium time, right? Divide by zero. That's cool. Is that a Built to Spill reference? Carry the Zero is actually, I think, the name of that song. But Florida flagfish is really useful to a fish room. I use a group 9 in a 20-gallon tank to clean up plants and decor and undesirables. A gang of 9 flagfish. Did I read that right? I use Florida flagfish. I use a group of 9 in a 20-gallon. Did they live there all the time, or do you just put them in and let them clean up and then move them to the next tank that needs them? That's wild. But I bet 9 would put a major dent in things, so that's for sure. Brand new to fish, says Neil McLean. I have a 10-gallon tank with filter, bubbler, or bubbles, and all that. I have a betta, 8 neon tetras, 3 cherry shrimp, and a snail. Everyone is getting along. It's been a week tomorrow. Well, congrats. That sounds good. Sounds fun. Do you have plants? If you don't have plants, you might want to try some plants. A lot of times people are scared of plants. They think it's going to be a lot more work and stuff, but it's not. It's good, and it makes things easier. It's another safety rail for your fish not being poisoned by nitrates and so forth. Might go check on this guppy. 24 babies and counting. Wow, congrats, Hydrocold Carrot. That is one mama guppy that's got a lot of babies. Yeah, shell dwellers. Yeah, they're a fun one, but they have a lot of babies. They're like rabbits. 10 gallons is too small to combine bettas and tetras. They're very stressful even if there's no attack. 10 gallons, you can do, wait, hold on. 10-gallon tank with filter. I have a betta, 8 neon tetras. You can do it if in a 10-gallon, it is a little tight, especially if it is a female betta. But I would guess that the neon tetras are going to be just either at the bottom, or if it's a betta that likes to hang out at the bottom, they're going to be at the top. The thing is, neon tetras in a 10-gallon is not a whole lot of room, period, for them. But I don't think it's like the biggest crime against humanity. So I would recommend a 20 long over that situation by far. I think you'll get a lot cooler behavior and you can add more fish. But I mean, everyone's got to start somewhere. So I'm not gonna like chastise you or anything. I mean, you'll work it out, hopefully. Anna Taman 10. Yeah, okay, we got that. Fishery is math. Divide by 0. Oh yeah, fishery. It's a math reference. It means infinity. Yeah. No, I know that, but there's also a band that has a song called Carry the Zero. And I was confusing it with Divide by 0, which never mind. There's another band that has a song called that too. Actually, sounds like you like math. If you haven't read Zero, the history, is it the history or the biography? It's either the biography or the history of a deadly idea. And it's all about how the idea of zero coming over from India, making its way through the Arab countries and through, Arabic math and algebra and all that, and then over into Europe, how people wouldn't allow zero, even as a placeholder, because they're like, well, God wouldn't leave nothing. He created everything and he put things everywhere. You can't have nothing. There's no such thing as nothing. God would not leave nothing. And like the Catholic Church went nuts, over zero being a thing. And it's kind of interesting. The whole book, though, is about how different cultures, how the idea of zero kind of revolutionized paradigms, math, architecture, geometry, all that kind of stuff. But also then later, the kinds of other things related to the concept of zero, absolute zero, and concepts like that are kind of fun to just toy around with. So the book was pretty good. I read that like, I don't know, 20 years ago, but it's a good book. How many guppies can I put in a 5-gallon tank that has live plants, sponge filter, back filter, and a small sub filter? Probably like 20 guppies, 30 guppies easily. If you keep up on your water changes, keep up on your ammonia, nitrites, and nitrates, just make sure they don't get high. You can put quite a few in there. They're going to get real crowded. They might start nipping at each other's tails. I'd say if you see any signs of their fins or tails getting ripped, there's definitely too many. There are going to be too many by definition, kind of, more than a group of like 10 or 15 in a 5-gallon is a lot. But I've seen breeders, for a short time store fish that way. And you can put like 40 in a 5-gallon as long as you're doing the water changes and not just massively feeding them, and there's plants in there, and there's moving water. But I wouldn't do it for their full life. I think that would be mean. Fishberg, I appreciate it. Plastic plants and lots of hiding places for the shrimp, Neil said. Yeah, you know, I think that's fine for now, but I would try real plants eventually. Yeah, oh, real plants too, soon. Right on. No worries. All right, you guys, I'm gonna get out of here. George just pulled in. Dang. Sorry. I gotta leave, George. But I appreciate all you watch number file videos. Yeah, those are great. Fusion developer. I like those too. I do indeed. I always think about like should I share, you know, like there's another book I read called Salt. And it's like a history of salt, but it was an incredible book. It doesn't have anything to do with fish, really, but there are connections to fish in the book. And so I'm always torn on like, should I throw this up on the community stream or for members only? Like, here's my reading list or something. I don't know. If you guys want to know that kind of stuff, let me know. Usually you'll pick it up just from, you know, hearing me talk about stuff. But guys, I'm going to get out of here. We've been on over 2 hours. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for the super chat, the memberships gifted that y'all did earlier this evening. Very generous. And again, to Adam Ragusia, thank you so much for the camera and the new laptop to try to edit videos on. I'm in the process of like getting things rehomed and also getting like, hopefully getting the footage off this and to scrub through it and see what I've got. And, you know, I've been a little slow in making actual videos the last week. Like the last few weeks, I made a whole bunch. Like I made 2.5 on average a week plus 2 live streams. I'm only doing 2 live streams right now, and I didn't make a video. Now it's been, I think 5 or 6 days. So I will get back to that. I think we're going to do a species spotlight sooner than later, like tomorrow or the next day. And but I'm still going through and trying to go check out what we've got. And the old footage I had from Florida when I got so sick and ended up in the hospital, I kind of just set that aside and was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I didn't finish my exploration down there. But now I'm realizing like, oh, I could still do like a Elasoma video or, you know, something like a Florida native fish video or something and use that B-roll and footage for something. Or, you know, just when we're talking about something abstract, something more about like the hobby or, for instance, fish taboos and fish keeping, which we didn't really get to so well. But I want to have, you know, good quality footage. And so just like that. Right on, Neil. I appreciate it. Welcome to all y'all who are joining us now and who asked questions, came and hung out. I'll be streaming, you know, I try my best to do Tuesdays and Fridays. If I miss one of those, then I try to do the next day. Have a lot of health issues. Even right now, I'm going through kind of hell with allergies, welts, hives, and autoimmune stuff with my lupus and my psoriatic arthritis. What I don't know what they want to call it. They keep changing their mind, but you can see kind of the little bumps and stuff on. Anyways, doesn't matter. But I am taxed and I'm done for the night. But I have been invigorated mentally, emotionally by y'all, and I really do appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. I will do a reading list. Laird, I definitely will. Cool. I'm glad you're interested. I'll do a post about that sometime soon. All right, you guys, take care. I gotta go take care of my stinky, loud, meowy meow kitty, and also do some more remodeling on my library. Very sturdy mahogany library. Bye, guys. I run through the jungle.